This is Mrs. Atencio, the support counselor at Allen High School, and today we're going to be covering unhealthy relationships. First, we're going to start with dating violence. It is the intentional use of physical, sexual, verbal, or emotional abuse by a person to harm, threaten, intimidate, or control a person in a dating relationship. Dating violence occurs regardless of race, gender, or social economic status. Both males and females are victims, but boys and girls are abusive in different ways. For example, females are more likely to yell, threaten to hurt themselves, pinch, slap, scratch, or kick, and males tend to injure more severely and frequently. Each year, approximately 1 in 4 adolescents reports verbal, physical, emotional, or sexual abuse.
Because I love you. I want to be your only guy.
Because I love you, skip class with me.
Because I love you, I just want to be with you so freaking much.
Because I love you.
I waited for you after Chem Lab.
You were walking with Mark?
Because I love you.
You shouldn't be hanging out with that dude.
You should know how dumb that makes me look.
I don't care if she's your lab partner.
Why do you have texts from him?
Because I love you. This number,
Delete.
Because I love you. This Jason number?
delete.
And Ben,
Delete.
because I love you, I should smash your phone.
I'll let you give me your password instead.
Because I love you.
I will check your texts every day.
You got lucky. Because I love you.
Because I love you.
You think it's okay.
Because I love you. You understand.
Because I love you. You stop talking to your classmates. And you feel completely alone.
Because I love you. That's not love.
There are definitely times where circumstances come up in a dating relationship where there can be hurt feelings or frustration, but we also want to make sure that things are not controlling in nature, where you still have the ability to do the things that you want to do, spend time with friends, spend time with family, and not have that interrupted because a dating partner is jealous and says mean and hurtful things. So let's look at some signs that you could potentially be in an abusive relationship. The individual blames you for his or her problems, pressures you into having sex, or forces you to do sexual things you don't want to do by saying, if you really loved me, you would this or that. Jealous and possessive about the time you spend with friends, and constantly checking up on you and ask where you are and with whom you're spending your time. More warning signs include the person you are dating forces you to choose between being with them over your family and friends. You're frightened of him or her and worry about how your partner will react to the things that you say or do. Gets angry and calls you names, kicks, hits, and pushes you. Or makes you feel afraid to express your own thoughts and feelings, make decisions about how to spend your money, what to wear, where to go, or who to hang out with. And finally, even more signs include family and friends have warned you about this person and have told you that they're worried about your safety. The person has hit, pushed, choked, restrained, kicked, or physically hurt you. The person you're with often loses their temper with you, verbally assaults you, and sometimes threatens you or brags about mistreating others. And finally, threats of anger are followed by vows of love and pleas for your forgiveness. There can be a cycle to dating violence, that honeymoon phase where everything is really great, you're enjoying spending time together, then the abusive behavior can occur, and then ultimately those pleas for forgiveness, and so you just see the cycle going over and over and over again. Sexting is when photos and videos of a sexual nature are sent willingly. However, there's also times when the person felt pressured to do so. Even if your partner promises that he or she will be the only one to see those images, you can never be guaranteed. Besides, if an investigation occurs, do you want your parents, police, attorneys, and a judge to be looking at those images? Sexting can also have legal consequences. Any nude photos or videos of someone under 17 could be considered child pornography, which is always illegal. Even if whoever sent the images did so freely, the recipient can still get into some legal trouble. So let's next look at toxic relationships and how you can end them.
Any true relationship between friends or significant others should be one between equals. You give and take equally. One person's needs aren't met over another's. Friends and partners are supposed to give you energy, lift you up when you're down, and want the best for you. But sometimes we get into relationships that drain energy from us. These are toxic relationships, and they can negatively affect all aspects of our lives. On this week's Wellcast, we're going to show you how you can tell if you're even in a toxic relationship, and then we're going to help you extricate yourself from that unhealthy situation pronto. Selfie 1. Diagnose the relationship. How do you know if a friend or partner is bringing you down? Well, in much the same way that you know that you're coming down with a cold. Toxic relationships come with symptoms. When you're around this person, how do you feel? Here are a few other questions you should ask yourself if you're thinking you might be in a toxic situation. Does my friend put me down all the time? Are they jealous when I spend time with others? Do they constantly bring up parts of me that they want to change? Do they take more than they give? Am I only doing the things that they want to do? Selfie 2. Recognize your role in the relationship. As Eleanor Roosevelt said, nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. All right, look, we know we got that from Princess Diaries, obviously. Moving on. Listen, you have autonomy in every relationship in your life. If your friend or partner is stealing your sunshine, you need to figure out what you're doing to allow them to do this. Are you being a doormat? Are you putting this person's emotional needs ahead of your own health? Selfie 3. Start to build boundaries for this relationship. Does your friend invite themselves over at all hours of the night? Are they constantly bossing you around? Are they always borrowing money from you? All right. Once you know the boundary that you want to set, stick to it. Draw your line in the sand. Selfie 4. Recognize you can't change other people, but you can stop being a doormat. If you've determined that a friendship or relationship is toxic, you know that you have to change the nature of that relationship. Start by spending less time with that person and do your best to detach yourself emotionally. Hopefully, setting boundaries will help you begin to phase this relationship out. Selfie 5. Get a second opinion. Especially if you're emotionally vulnerable, the best thing you can do is surround yourself with people who love you and who want you to be happy and healthy. Use them as a lifeline during this time. Selfie 6. Above all else, look out for yourself. Studies have shown that people with low self-esteem are far more likely to find themselves in toxic relationships. You will never be treated with love and respect unless you absolutely believe that you deserve these things. Remember, you teach people how to treat you. So do yourself the favor of loving yourself. That's the first step to any relationship.
I hope those were some helpful tips to help you manage some unhealthy relationships that you might find yourself in these days. What do you do if you have a friend that's in an abusive relationship and they happen to be the abuser? Don't accept their excuses for the abuse. Clearly tell them that it's not okay. Encourage the friend to find a counselor that he or she can trust. When you see the friend treat his or her partner with respect, acknowledge it and praise him or her. Do not act as a go-between to help the couple work things out and report it to an adult on campus. Counselors can help. Ways that we can do so is to help create a plan to keep you safe at school, provide counseling resources, assist your family in obtaining a protective order if needed, and help educate your parents on dating violence. When we look at child abuse, it's estimated that only 1 in 10 children will tell someone about their abuse. 1 in 4 girls is sexually abused before the age of 18, and 1 in 6 boys is sexually abused before the age of 18. Up to 40% of victims are abused by a family member. Another half are abused by someone outside of the family that they know and trust. So only 10% of children are abused by a complete stranger. There are 4 main types of abuse. Signs of physical abuse include frequent injuries such as bruises, cuts, black eyes, or burns without adequate explanation, burns or bruises in unusual patterns, aggressive, disruptive, and destructive behavior, passive, withdrawn, and emotionless behavior, fear of going home or seeing parents, injuries that appear after a child has not been seen for several days, and unreasonable clothing that may hide injuries to arms or legs. When looking for signs of neglect, it tends to be torn or dirty clothing, consistent hunger, stealing, or begging for food. A child is unattended for long periods of time. Caretaker ignores the need for glasses, dental care, or other medical attention. Extreme loneliness and the need for affection, or lack of personal cleanliness. When looking at emotional abuse, the caregiver can belittle the child, withhold love, and seems unconcerned about the child's problems. A student may be excessively obedient or compliant, have low self-esteem, struggle with severe depression, anxiety, or aggression, have difficulty making friends, or being behind in physical, emotional, and intellectual development. Signs of sexual abuse include extreme fear of being alone with adults of a certain sex, sexually suggestive, inappropriate, or promiscuous behavior. The victim themselves may actually sexually abuse other children, and the adult abuser in the child's life is extremely controlling, limits contact with other children or adults. The importance of addressing the 4 forms of abuse with students is not only for students to be able to identify the unhealthy things that may be happening in their own lives, but it may also clue you into things that you may observe should you be in a situation where you are babysitting or working at a daycare facility, so that you can also help recognize some of these symptoms as well. Common questions that we get is, what if a friend tells me that they've been abused and I'm the only one that knows? There can be a reluctance to come forward to share that information. However, it is critical that you do so. The friend is obviously telling you for a reason, and it's important that you let a trusted adult know so they can help guide that discussion. Something else we hear is that CPS takes abused kids away from their parents and puts them in foster care. While there are situations where a student is placed in foster care, that tends to be very few and far between. CPS works to try to keep families together by providing support services, and only in the most extreme situations is a child removed from their home. What if no one believes me when I tell them I'm being abused? Please know that any adult that you share this information with at any campus in the district will believe you. They will sit with you and hear your story and do what is needed to help get you the support that you need. The final question we get is, what if the abuse occurred when I was in elementary school? Should I still report it? Absolutely. We most definitely want you to come forward, irregardless of when the abuse occurred. Ways to report child abuse, including seeking out an adult you trust and telling them what you know. The adult can contact CPS for you. If you would prefer, you can also reach out to CPS yourself at 1-800-252-5400, and you can call anonymously. Individuals also have the ability to report abuse online at txabusehotline.org. It is confidential, but it is not anonymous. And if you're still uncertain what to do, report the information to the TIP 411 line for guidance on the concern. Our final topic is human trafficking. When we're looking at risk factors, that includes if a student has a history of abuse, neglect, and trauma, an individual with low self-esteem, minimal social support, a lack of strong parental relationship, and students who may be runaways or homeless. Some of the warning signs include frequent or unexplained absences, frequently running away from home, a boyfriend or girlfriend who is noticeably older and or controlling. The student is gifted expensive items and salon treatments. There are signs of physical trauma, and the individual is withdrawn, depressed, anxious, or fearful. Ways to reduce your risk of being trafficked include being suspicious of strangers promising to get you involved in TV, film, modeling, or dance. If a stranger compliments you on your attractiveness, thank them and walk away or ignore completely. Traffickers will work to earn your trust online through apps such as Instagram and Snapchat. They may even pose as a potential dating partner on a dating site. Little in life is free. If you are being offered free meals, designer items, and salon treatments, don't trust that there will not be something required in return. If you are approached online or in person, please tell a trusted adult immediately. If you or someone you know is being trafficked, you can always reach out to 911. You can talk to a school resource officer or other trusted adult at school or at home, or contact the Human Trafficking Hotline 888-737-7888, or you can text Be Free to 233733. Should you have any questions or concerns about today's presentation, please don't hesitate to reach out to your teacher or other staff member in the building, or contact a school resource officer. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day.